Hello, and welcome to the evening edition of Microbe News Network. Tonight, we will be discussing the outbreak of typhoid fever in Pakistan. Now, for those who are unaware, typhoid fever is a type of bacterium scientifically known as Salmonella typhi that is categorized as a disease. This disease is known to spread when food or water becomes contaminated by human feces and is consumed. This is what bacteria looks like. The flagellum helps the microbe move around. The pili are used to transfer DNA. The capsule, cell wall, and cell membrane help protect everything within the cell. The nucleoid contains genetic material. The cytoplasm holds everything in place. Finally, the ribosomes produce proteins. We will now be switching to our on-site reporter to get the inside scoop on what's happening in real time in Pakistan.
Thank you, Caitlin. The current outbreak for typhoid fever is something that should not be taken lightly. Around 22 million people per year have been infected by typhoid fever. If you live in Pakistan, the ratio for you is 451.7 per 100,000 people have been infected by typhoid fever per year. If you live in Pakistan and are wondering if you have been infected by typhoid fever, here are the warning signs. Poor appetite, abdominal pain, inflammation in the abdominal area, headaches, pains, and more. At its worst, typhoid fever can cause internal bleeding and death. The individuals with the highest risk of contracting typhoid fever generally live in a non-industrialized region. Compared to a higher industrialized region, the non-industrialized region is going to have a higher chance of contracting typhoid fever. This is due to the fact that in the non-industrialized region, there are not many sanitation services to make sure they're not consuming contaminated food and water. If you find yourself in these regions, whether it be travel or at home, please acquire a vaccine. And if you can't acquire a vaccine, try this routine. Wash your hands often, avoid drinking untreated water, and eating hot foods are all good measures to take. However, if this fails and you have contracted the typhoid fever, try taking prescribed medication and always stay hydrated. Back to you, Kate.
Thank you. Like mentioned earlier, the typhoid fever outbreak is mainly occurring in developing countries such as Pakistan, where we are focusing our segment. In Pakistan, the outbreak initially started in November 2016. The pathogen travels from the digestive system to the blood, which spreads it throughout the body. It is important to know that typhoid fever can infect others as long as the bacteria remains in the infected person's stool. Unfortunately, there is no specific number at this time to show exactly how many people have been infected, but we will switch to our interviewer, who will be talking with a victim of typhoid fever.
Thank you. Today I'm here with Asusena, an avid traveler who has been infected by typhoid fever. First off, I would love to know, what symptoms have you been experiencing since you have been diagnosed with typhoid fever?
Well, my condition has improved since arriving here, but I'm still not at a healthy point. I've had lots of pain in my stomach in addition to digestive issues, not to mention the headaches. Since I was diagnosed, I've been interested in the disease and did some research. I found out that others with typhoid fever have also experienced bloating, diarrhea, nausea, fatigue, fevers, chills, and other symptoms.
I'm sorry, but can you remember any food or drinks that you consumed prior to being infected that could have been contaminated and gave you the disease?
After I got back from Pakistan and started looking into typhoid fever, I made the connection that one of the main causes would have been the water that we were drinking and possibly some of the local foods. I learned that people contract this disease through contaminated food and water.
What warning signs have hinted that you may have been infected with typhoid fever prior to going to the doctor?
While visiting Pakistan, I noticed that the water was never the cleanest. However, I assumed that it would be fine since all the locals hadn't seemed to have any issues. I think that this might be where I got the disease because I wasn't careful with what I was consuming.
What have you done or been given to treat your disease?
So far, I have gotten prescribed antibiotics, but I am also being more cautious and drinking lots of water, so I stayed hydrated, and I have taken some other medications to help with some of the pain. I was told that the typhoid fever outbreak in Pakistan has not been responding well to antibiotics, so I am making sure that I am eating healthy and taking care of my body. so my immune system can help fight off the disease alongside the antibiotics.
Thank you so much for your time. I hope you get better. Back to you, Caitlin.
Thank you all for joining us this evening. This has been tonight's episode of MNN. Please remember to take proper precautions and stay safe.
3, 2,